Welcome, everybody, and we are back. Another episode of Pass the Barb. Today is Monday, October 30th. It is spooky season, and Cody Hahner has shaved his face.
Yes, and wrapped in a visor.
I kind of had a screw up with the razor the other day. I'm like, we're going to have to restart this, baby. We got to restart it. It wasn't looking pretty.
Have you participated in No Shave November before?
I haven't, but that's a good excuse. Why didn't you bring that up in the precursor? That would have been a great excuse. Not me just missing on my shave.
Yeah, what we could do now, Cody, is just add it to the reward for if we get up to the amount of reviews we want on Apple Podcasts from our beautiful subscribers. Yes. We'll just have Cody grow his facial hair out until we hit that. That might incentivize people not to give us subscribes or ratings, though.
That's a slippery slope.
If we don't hit that mark, when we hit that mark, then he'll go a full month without.
There we go.
Just signing him up for
just no trim incentives. No trim.
So we are joined anyway. So I am Adam Bartusek. We are joined by Cody Hahner, as you guys have heard. We got Sam Sobi up top as well.
How's it going? I'm back. I was gone last week, but first and foremost, I want to say a huge thank you again to each and every one of you for making this the #1 outdoor podcast in the world. We've been dreaming of this, and it's came true, and we're just going to ride this wave. You know what I mean? Like #1 outdoor podcast in the world. We're here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the first time, not joined next to me. Pinkalla is gone. However, I don't know if you boys got a text from him. I got a text from him at about 3 today that just said giant bull down and a picture of him up at 13,000 feet. I don't know how he got me the text, but I'll text it to the group chat so you guys see it. But also joining us, Stolski, Mr. Captain Bill, you are here.
Wild Bill.
Well, yeah, trying to be. I'm faceless tonight, but good to see you guys. It's awesome to be back on the #1 outdoor podcast in the entire galaxy, universe, world. And happy to be here for as long as I can. I don't know how long this will last, but we're parked up on a hill, so we'll see.
Are you faceless because the mice finally got you?
No, actually, I've rid the mice for the most part. I've killed, I don't know how many, but the other exciting news is that I will be out of the barn here tomorrow.
Really? You're moving out of the barn?
So, yeah, I'm not going to winter over here. Fuck that.
I thought you were like permanently residing in the barn. Where are you moving back to?
Not a chance. I'm heading to the big city. I'm going down to Helena. I'm going to see what's happening down there for about a month.
Wow.
How excited are you going to be to see a girl again?
Pretty excited. I am chomping at the bit. It's not going to take much. Let's just say that.
We call them Northwoods Nines in this part of the world. Northwoods Nines.
I've got bush eyes is what we would call it in Alaska. I've got bush eyes. So when you come out, everything looks pretty good. So yeah, certainly. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to take too much, but yeah, out of the barn tomorrow, Helena for November, and then Idaho in December. But I mean, so good service is coming my way. I mean, things are going to change here the next time we record. I'm going to be there and active as opposed to what I am now, which is super delayed and shitty. So working on it.
That's great. We're excited to have you back. And speaking of Idaho, as I'm sure some of the people who are here listening to this podcast are wondering, we do have Mr. Brandon Palaniuk joining us later, kind of mutual acquaintance, friend of a few of ours, just from knowing him from the road and stuff from Bassin. So we're going to chat some Western hunting with him. And I know Pink will be a little disappointed to not be here for this one, but what we're going to get rolling into, if you're new to this podcast, we do a bunch of different segments to keep this fun, chatting different stuff in the outdoors. And one we have been missing on for probably the last 8 months, as Bill has been out of service, will be Will's WikiFind. So, Will, do you want to lead us off? What do you got for us right away? Let's get this podcast pumping.
Well, I've got one, and I think it's something that maybe you guys maybe are aware of this, maybe not. I'm certain you've heard of the store Mattress Firm. Are we all familiar with Mattress Firm? They sell
the big box
mattresses,
store.
or any mattress store. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I guess you could call it any mattress store. Have you ever noticed how many mattress stores there are out there? It's
Yeah,
sort of
like a
absurd,
lot. Like,
right?
When's the last time you bought a mattress?
and when's the last time you seen the parking lots full on those places?
Exactly.
What keeps the lights on?
Exactly. So I did precisely, Hahner. And the answer is money laundering. That is what's keeping the lights on at all of these giant big box mattress
We thought it. You said it.
It's a front. It's a front. It's totally a money laundering front. Because, yeah, like you said, Sobi, every time you drive by one of these stores, Mattress Firm, Mattress Soft, whatever the mattress store is, the parking lots are always empty. There's no one ever there. And if you look if you go especially around Chicago area, kind of in Chicago land, there's like 10 mattress firms within a 1 mile radius of each other. And you're telling me that there's that many people? No.
Are you insinuating
I'm
mob
serious.
ties potentially? Do you think this is old mob money that's being money laundered through mattress firms in the 21st century?
And the problem is I don't want to say I don't want to say too much, because
Do you
of
have
course
ties?
they could find me and take me out. Well, I don't. I wish I had ties. I wish I
No
had
way
a
they could
home
find the
that
barn, dude.
I wish I had a home that had internet service and a G550 private jet, but I don't have either of those things. But that is my WikiFind. I got into it a little bit today. Mattress Firm in particular, but all mattress stores. There's so many of them, and there's such high density that it really doesn't make sense, because, like Cody said, when was the last time you bought a mattress? For me, I couldn't tell you. I think the last one I got was from Costco in a box. So
Yeah, mine
something
was
to
from
think
a
about.
box on Amazon about a year ago.
I'm going to be honest. I'm 30 years old. I've never bought a mattress.
Look at you.
Right. Yes.
Never.
Yeah, I don't think I don't.
I
I
felt
don't
like
think
they're
I
a
would either.
lifetime thing. You found your one, you flipped it every 15 years, and you're good to go.
Here's a question I have
Right.
for you
So-
three to build off that. So all of us have buddies that have worked like at fast food joints, different retail spots, whether it be Fleet Farm, Gander, Target, Kohl's. Do you guys have any buddies you know, or any buddy of a buddies that you know that have actually worked at a mattress firm?
No.
Isn't that kind of weird too? Because there's a whole bunch from Minnesota, but it's like I can name 10 people I know that have worked at a Burger King or a McDonald's or whatever, but not one that I know that works at mattress firms. So
Sobi, I just think of, there used to be, I don't know if it's still there anymore. They must have laundered all their money. But the giant, I don't know if it was Ashley or whatever furniture store it was in Burnsville. It got built just south of Buck Hill.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever saw more than 2 cars in that parking lot, but it was as big as Fleet Farm.
Yep. It was giant. That's so weird.
It certainly makes you think.
It does, dude. Because if you worked there all day, like what is the foot traffic in mattress firm on Monday at 11 a.m.? There's no way. There's no way there's anyone in there ever.
Yeah, no,
Zero.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is a very good WikiFind, Bill. And I think what also adds to this is the slight audio delay he does have. It just makes it even better for all of us. The entertainment factor is golden.
I'm just a half a second behind,
No, it's good. So we will be bringing back more of Will's WikiFind as he gets more Wi-Fi. He has brought some great ones over the past year. We're almost running up on a year now, but he's brought some great ones over the past year, including JFK Reloaded. Never forget. And still such a great one. But now we're going to roll into a little bit of current events wise. We heard what Bill's got going on. Sobi, what have you had going on in your world lately?
It's just like a major transition of everything. It seems like fall or summer turned into like late fall, winter really quick. So I'm like deer hunting, but I was scrubbing the boat down today, trying to get the boat back, and then gun openers this weekend, all while like ice is like, I don't know, like ice is probably less than a month away. So I'm just like throwing different things up in the garage, throwing them down. And I just feel like I'm 10 steps behind as we go through like 3 different seasons. So
crazy. It hit like in a couple days, didn't
yeah,
it? It's insane.
I
Always
feel
happens.
way more delayed. Like I feel way more behind this year than previous years.
Isn't that weird? Why?
And I don't necessarily know why. And it could be because the weather was like, we actually had a pretty nice fall. Like it wasn't super hot. It was just like nice fall weather. And I think it kind of lulled us all to sleep because then all of a sudden it was like, bam, November 1st. You're like, no.
Yeah, it's not. I can't believe it's gun opener this coming weekend. Right.
That's crazy.
Doesn't that feel weird? I know you have
crazy.
another week, Cody.
Yeah, we have another week, but it's kind of like our annual bow hunting fest for like my dad, my uncle, my brother, and I this next weekend. So, which is hard to believe it's already here, but it's crazy to like all of a sudden the bucks on your feeds are starting to roll in around the Midwest, and like, oh my God, ice is coming.
I know,
crazy.
I know.
I also know ice is here because Cody Hahner's around. So there must not be a lot of electrical work going on right now.
Slowing down. Thank God. Everybody in Wisconsin knows what's happening. They're all starting to get into the woods. That's the one thing about Wisconsin. As soon as it gets to be about like end of November, Halloween time, work just goes at a standstill. Like they're all up in trees. Nobody cares.
For the
state. Nobody cares. Like whatever deadline you had, we can push it. We can push it a little bit. Like gun hunting, especially. Like there isn't anybody working in Wisconsin during gun hunting. Like it's rare to see. There might be a job filled with, say 40 people. There might be 5 there during gun season. It's crazy.
Stolski, is the culture like that does it translate to out west? Like, is there times of the year that like towns will shut down, or do they get that super hyped over, elk opener or anything like that?
Well, the thing about Montana, and I can't speak on other states, is that it's such a long season out here. So archery runs for almost 6 weeks, and then rifle opened last weekend, I guess. So it's such a big, long season that you don't have like sort of the opening weekend like you do in Minnesota or Wisconsin. It's just sort of this long, sort of drawn out thing. Now certainly you could go into like some small towns and opening weekend is probably kind of a big deal, but it's not like in the Midwest. I think just because of the duration, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a really long season. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we have, I don't know, what does Minnesota have for gun season?
I want to say like the lower part of the state, there's like gets first season A and then they could go B. So they get to decide if they'd like to go like the first week or the second week. And then I think up north, they get 3 weekends straight.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
we would get a 3 weeks where I would in the northern part.
Yeah. Like Wisconsin is just 9-day season statewide. That's what you got. It is war. It is blaze orange. We're going to shoot some shit.
That's actually pretty sweet that the whole state operates on these 9 days.
9 days. 9 days is what you got. Be here. Yep.
Should get out amazing. On a lake then around then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great time. But
you just see deer swimming everywhere, just trying to get across.
It's a
swimming to islands.
Yeah, like we have property that butts up to a river, and the amount of deer that are like tucked into cattails and stuff and like half into water if it's not frozen, just shivering, as you can hear like 10 people just like barking like dogs across the river, just trying to blow them out of anywhere. And like it's a war. It's a war. Fire! And it's a squirrel.
How are the zones split up in Wisconsin? Like, is the limit pretty? Like, is it pretty different throughout the whole state? Like,
yeah, we got a 5 deer limit. We can call them out for the biggest buck.
Yeah, I figured it was Wisconsin. You're probably cull deer.
Honestly, I think it's so you have your like So I really don't know. I don't hunt statewide like we go up to land. I put my Lincoln County thing in there. I don't know if it's like Buffalo County or I don't really know, dude. I'm not that big into hunting. I go up there if we shoot something, great. If not, we're gonna go to the bars and.
I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but all the luck Cody loses in bass fishing tournaments around the country, it comes right into hunting season because he is 100% so lucky.
100%. Yep. My dad and my brother will put in hundreds of hours during the summertime, and I'll show up once at the worst stand we got and kill the biggest deer we got.
I love that.
That's great.
That.
You been up to anything else, Cody? Any fishing or not really? Just getting ready kind of for hunting?
Yeah, no. Just kind of getting ready for the next couple weekends, just hanging out. Work is kind of finally subsided, so I can get at least a little bit organized, which is nice. But for the most part, I watched that. I don't know if you guys watched that at all, that Francis Ngannou and Tyson fight.
No, I didn't.
Did you hear anything about it?
I heard a little bit, but I didn't watch it.
It was super sick. So, like, I'm a passive, like, fighter fan. If it's on and it's a big fight, I'll watch it, like any big sporting event. But so Tyson Fury, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, like the Gypsy King, he's like the 6'8", just monstrous man.
Yeah.
And he went to fight, like, they had like the baddest motherfucker on the planet fight.
Yeah.
And he was fighting Francis Ngannou, which is a 6'5", humongous, is jacked out of his mind black dude. I mean, huge.
Yeah.
Hardest hitting person on the planet. And Tyson Fury was supposed to be like dodge and weave, box him, and just like win the fight handedly. And it was like the shadiest crap ever, because this Francis Ngannou, which is a UFC fighter, like should have won the fight. Hands down should have won it. And it was super cool. It was super cool to
But
watch.
just like as a viewer, you thought he smoked him?
Not smoked, but definitely like it was a split decision, which is like, I don't know what the numbers were, but he lost by the MMA fighter lost by 1 point, and the heavyweight boxer won by 1 point, which is like,
so it was
and it was a super, if you're into like big sporting events, that was a huge sporting event. That was a super cool one to watch. So that was a pretty big highlight over the weekend. Other than that, just kind of getting the boat set away. I'm looking to get rid of it. Whoever wants to take it, I got it, marked as I will pay you $100 to get rid of it.
Didn't we say we were giving away your boat last year for a giveaway for the podcast? I
need help taking the parts off and shipping it to certain people. So
that's what
can get.
Yeah, we were going to sell it piece by piece,
screw by screw. So if you want to, you can put it back together, and it'll probably be a better boat than when I had it. Clear out a couple of mice nests that are in it.
Speaking of other things we haven't followed through on, then we'll kind of chat a bit about what I had going on. But Bill, you were not here for this. We were chatting the other day about the fantasy fishing losers, and I hate to break it to you, but if you could have found service once in Alaska, you could have outlasted Cody. But he did happen to overtake you and not take last.
No,
so you technically did take last for the Thanksgiving. Have to prove you're drunk 5K.
The turkey trot.
I have to run the 5K?
The turkey trot.
And you have to prove that you're hungover.
Sam, did you get a chance to
I'll be hungover? Fuck. No.
I told Pink, and I tried to get a hold of you to be like, dude, just set your lineup. Like just once, you can log on and set it for the next 3 events and you'll beat Cody. It just, he got you.
Motherfucker. I have to do it, don't I?
The turkey trot. It's In previous episodes that I've listened to, you commit to it heavy.
You do have to do it, but
Verbal
as a
commitment.
secondary thing, we also told Cody he has to fish in the Bassmaster Open.
Oh,
Oh,
have
well,
you heard
the
of this,
turkey
Sam?
trot sounds
Have
a
you?
lot
Have you?
cheaper.
Sobi hasn't heard this either, and neither has Bill, because neither of them were here for this. Me, Pink, and Cody came up with this because it was right after they announced the Open
I've been
schedule.
thinking a lot about this lately, and I am still
So,
very down.
So, Hahner, what do you have to do? And I think he thinks it's going to be great, and I already know him, and by 3 hours in, he's going to hate it.
Oh, I'll hate life.
But it's
pretty
gonna be
quickly,
great.
like
So, Cody, what do you have to do? What do you have to do?
So, don't we? So I have to sign up as a co-angler for Leech Lake.
No.
Yeah.
Do it.
And
you can only bring 4 rods.
I can bring 4 rods, 2 of which is it that you're rigging for me?
Yep.
Or that you're
2 of them
rigging
were
for
rigging.
And 2 of which I'm bringing that are musky rods.
Oh my gosh, do it. Do it.
Could you
do it.
okay. And the scenario that keeps going into my head is day 1. Joel Willard is sitting in 12th place going into the Bassmaster Opens. Biggest tournament of his life to make the elites.
Pulls Cody Hahner, baby.
Pulls Cody Hahner. And I have a fucking Cannonball Lake X topwater that I'm flopping, making the biggest explosion as he's flipping carefully along a weed line or throwing a hair jig to isolated boulders.
He's on Mega Live and these fish are just like this.
Joel, what do you got? What do you got? Look back, dude. Oh, giant.
Joel's like fighting a smallmouth on light line, and you're L turning right
L
into
turning.
it.
Dude, I got a giant on. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh,
I had to
sorry.
follow. I had to follow.
Casting.
Hey, I had to follow.
Honestly, dude, I think if you casted a supermodel from Muskie Mayhem, I could put like a 25-pound bag together. You would catch some big largemouth.
We were joking about it, and we were also like, it would just be incredible for him to come in after day 1, and he has a bigger bag than I do as a boater, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know, I was in a rice bed all day chucking a giant cannonball around.
These stupid fuckers are coming up and blowing up on this thing. I don't know.
Flopping.
Couldn't keep them off. Oh God.
But that was what we told, because we told Cody, we're like, okay, you can't get out of it because you didn't set your lineup. So we were like, okay, you have to sign up for the Open as a co. We get to rig your 2 bass rods. You can bring 2 musky rods.
Dude, I think that would be so hilarious. That would be
and
so
we'll give
funny.
him a GoPro, and it'll be the first video that goes up on the PTV YouTube.
Nope, you get a 5K. Deal with it.
Bill, yours will be a 20-minute death, and then it'll be over. Cody thinks this is a great
20
idea.
minutes? It's gonna take me it'll take me an hour, dude. I'll be fucking dying.
You can walk a 5K in less than an hour. It's only 2.5 miles. Or it's 3.2, but who's counting?
That's 3 miles, Bill.
Yeah. It's a lot, dude. Well, okay. All right. I earned it. So
I like how receptive he was to it.
I know
it was
as
my
soon
idea.
as this
I have
tournament
no choice.
starts.
It was your idea.
Yeah,
I
thought it was
totally
a great
forgot
idea.
about
that. Okay, I'll send pictures.
Okay, but yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm just reminding people of that, and I had to bring it up because we are coming up to Thanksgiving. So we'll get Bill into the PTB Instagram that day, and he'll give updates. He'll do stories, and he'll document the whole thing. It'll be great. Take you along.
Thanks, Bill, for procrastinating more than I.
You're welcome.
You're just stolen. He went to Alaska, dude. Because when he was in the U.S., we'd be like, "Don't forget the lineup," and he just throw some bullshit up there. You're just lucky he went to Alaska. That's the only.
I'm super lucky. I missed like 5 tournaments this year. Had to have.
I must have missed at least that then, or I just suck. I always sucked too. I would pick guys with cool names.
My first tournaments were horrible, so we had to have missed the same amount of events.
Stolski, Stolski ended the year third, fourth, third, and every time he got third, he didn't set his lineup, and it just so happened Cody or Pink also didn't, so they tied.
And for brand new listeners, this is a bet you guys had over fantasy fishing at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, sorry if we didn't document that well for you guys who are new, but yeah, we take fantasy fishing pretty seriously here.
Obviously, because we didn't set our lineups for half of them.
We're into it over here. We love it.
Best outdoor podcast in the world. But yeah, so getting away from that. For me, going on lately, so Alyssa and I closed on a place, so I'm moving the next.
Congratulations! We're doing a round of applause for that. That's freaking money.
That's exciting, Adam.
It is very exciting. I have a heated garage now, so
that's big.
2 weeks ago, me and her dad hung up slat wall around the whole garage. Thank you to Justin Lucas for telling me to do that because it looks awesome now. And so garage is good. And then I spent this whole last weekend painting. And
nice.
What'd you paint,
dude? Painting sucks.
Yeah,
I don't get how guys do that for a job. It's really
awful.
terrible.
Oh, have you seen what they look like? Look,
painters have the time of their life, dude. Don't let that fool you. Before they get there, they're a little hungover. They may have a little J. They go through their work day. They're like, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" Like, not much. Just dealing with the daily grind. It's all right, man. It's all right, man. And they're spraying away, just smelling toxins all day long, riding that high.
They got to be a little looped up after like maybe 10 years.
That buzz. Oh man, I've seen some of the chillest dudes who are painters. Like surfer bros / like biker dudes who just want to feel the wind in their hair, man. Just want to feel the wind. They got break time comes along.
Sick, honestly.
Break time comes along. They share a couple dabs, ready to go back in, do some white painting. Up and down, baby. Straight lines.
I tell you what, they got to be ripped though, because my forearms and my back hurt so bad.
What'd you paint? Did you just paint the inside of the house?
Yeah, we're just painting all the rooms and everything. Yeah,
nice.
That's just kind of the construction.
What color are you painting them? Black.
Believe it or not, but I let the lady select everything, and there's 9 colors.
9.
There's 10 rooms in the house.
9.
That's it. So there's basically a different color every room. But it looks very, very good. She's done a fantastic job. I will give her props. But there's a lot of colors going around. And I haven't screwed any of them up yet because she was busy all weekend. So I don't think it. She went today. She said nothing was screwed up. So I think we're good.
If you need any paint too, Adam, I have an absolute excess of paint. I've also been doing some painting. Prior to like a week ago, I had a bright yellow permanent fish house, and I have just destroyed it and painted it a completely different color, which I'm not going to say. But the people at Menards don't tell you how much paint you need, and they will upsell you so much. So if you need extra paint.
Oh my God, how many gallons did you buy, dude?
I bought 5 gallons, dude, and I bet I used half a
gallons.
It was my whole permanent fish house, and I didn't know if it'd take a couple coats to get it on, and it was like I have so much, and she talked me into this expensive outdoor stuff. Yeah, barely. I don't think we used a gallon.
Oh my God.
I have a bunch of it, dude. And you can't like take it back. It's expensive stuff, dude. I've been hustled.
Bro, an industrial job site uses like maybe 5 5-gallon jugs.
Dude, I feel like an absolute idiot, dude. I'll
You were bamboozled.
It's freaking right here.
What? Oh my God, he's got a 5-gallon pail of paint. Holy shit.
Dude, you could do an entire Home Depot ceiling with that.
So you brought up painting, and it honestly struck
What's the color?
Dude, you could have painted half my house. Maybe the whole house for that. The only reason I had to get 9 gallons is because there's 9 colors.
I could have asked someone, but I didn't ask anyone to research. I just rolled to Menards, and then they don't tell you the price until you're at the checkout either, and you're not gonna be like, oh no. You just like bite the bullet.
How much
that was like $200 to $250 bucks.
It was $220, dude, and I was like, And she's like, oh, the flat premium. And I was like, is that what a lot of people do if they're doing outdoor metal siding or that? And she's like, oh, yeah,
100%.
yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God!
100%.
She's a
She
good
saw
idea.
you walking into that
Yeah.
section, and
Honestly,
she was like,
you might
I'm gonna
want-
get this kid.
Did you get the 2 gallons of primer coat? You
No,
should
this
have
had-
gotten the 2
this-
gallons of primer coat.
This had the primer included, so she didn't talk me into that. But I was at the and I'm like, not trying to put a lot of effort into this. I just wanted it to be not bright freaking yellow. And I felt, I don't know, that we're not talking about it anymore.
What are you going to do with the rest of the paint?
Auction it off for whoever gives me anything for it.
What color is it? We will try our best.
I can't say. I can't
Oh, it's
say.
your ice house, so you can't.
Yeah.
The best part is he showed the label, so
I'm
if someone
Sam
wants to
Sobiek.
go
I can't
look at it, they can probably figure it out.
It's like a
like a
bluish
lake.
gray, dude. It's
like a YouTube like screenshotting the map on like Lake Gunnersville or something. Be like,
It's slate.
if I look through contrast, enhance. That's his color of shack.
Those people that have made those videos like that, like the spoof ones about like do, and they put the CSI music to it, dun, dun, where they zoom into the background and
Yep.
stuff. Those are some of my favorite videos. Oh,
I'm
man.
sorry, so I just can't.
Enhance.
So I didn't mean to bring up the whole painting. thing
Continue with
that,
your
but
current
yeah, that
events, Adam.
that was good.
Continue.
But other than that, I haven't had. I really haven't had much going on. Just been trying to get the house ready. Winter hit quick. I was really hoping I'm going to get out fall bass fishing one more time. Go do a little bit of Cisco fun. Hahner knows what I'm talking about. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I honestly wish it would warm up a little bit for like the next week or two, because it's the water temps are cooling off fast, and I might miss it. But that's all I've had going on. Nothing too crazy. I think a lot's going to change in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, so should be fun. But other than that, we will roll into our next segment. One thing I did want to chat, we'll do a little bit of what in the world is going on before we get to the weigh-in. I don't even know if we'll get to the weigh-in today. We'll see how today goes. But one thing I did want to bring up in what in the world is going on, and I think Hahner will have some feedback for this, but we talk about all things outdoors. But Sobi, did you see the announcement from the BPT?
Yeah, and I listened to Bass Talk Live today with Jacob Wheeler, and just like all the changes they're making, they kind of went over it. It's a lot. Yeah,
I listened to the Jordan Lee one, and then I've just seen like excerpts from what happened with Boyd on Ike Live, and it's just, I mean, it just doesn't sound very good.
Pangrak said it good in Bass Talk Live, and if you guys are into outdoor podcasts in general, make sure you check out Bass Talk Live. It's a great
And he's
one.
much more professional than we are. We're going to give our straight up honest opinion on it, and in a little bit probably won't agree with us.
But Panger gave a really good honest opinion, I thought, and he kind of, he said it beautifully. I feel like he said, I don't know. This isn't exactly what he said, but he said, when I look at the BBT,
this is exactly what he said. Quote.
When I look at the BBT, I don't know if they are on the brink of a breakthrough or a brink of total failure, like every other year, like every year. Like, I don't know if they're about ready to break through or they're totally going under the next year. That's, I mean, more or less what he said. But I was like
when they went to the 5 fish thing, and I don't know, with what they've done recently, I thought they were on a really good track. Like this last year, I actually probably paid more attention than I had in a long time. I thought everything seemed fairly chill. But then, like as you've seen, like the various cheating allegations that are going around, failed polygraphs. Hahner's back. Hahner, we're talking about the BPT changes. If you haven't, on it.
Yep.
I just think it's wild. Like Panger did say on BTL, I do not know. Well, now I know they're on the brink of collapse. But for like 5 years, you didn't know if they were on the brink of exploding, like good, or on the brink of collapse. And it's just been a roller coaster. And
writing's on the wall now.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. After shrinking the invitationals last year to now going to your top level tour and shrinking that. Well, Bass is expanding the opens and expanding everything. It's like, oof.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks for like guys I feel for most who are just made it to the BPT. So they got,
I feel terrible for me.
Out of this.
Yeah.
That's who I'm like getting at is the closest person that I can think of.
Yeah.
Is, longtime veteran, very successful at it. Like his career is on, right there. You can see the work that he's done, and he gets to it. He has a good year. Actually, he had 2 years that were good. The 1 year he should have qualified and it got thrown away. And then this year he qualifies again, and now he has to go through the same BS to like prove himself that he's, as his social media following, his YouTube is like blowing up, and it's a guy that you want.
Yeah.
And he's got to fight to be there.
Yeah.
Like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
It's
and I do think
I would say I'd feel bad too. Like, I feel bad for the guys who got caught up in this, but like, I will also say I do not feel bad. I don't know. I don't necessarily feel bad for the guys who made that decision knowingly, saying that they were going to get back at Bass or other organizations or whatever, doing it out of a vendetta, because they kind of dug their own grave, is the way I see it. There was really bad decisions. And I think Jordan Lee was talking about it actually on BTL. He was saying like there was just a lot of bad decisions that everyone saw the first year or two, especially in the marketing, and we all know what that's about. And like it kind of doomed them right out of the get-go.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's so many, like, there's obviously a few people that, I mean, I won't name, that I don't like personally watching, but then there's a bunch of really entertaining people who I would love to see on primetime, like, and be in a circuit that I want to watch, like, all the time. Like a Jordan Lee. I really enjoy watching him.
Yeah, he's matured so much after the last few years too.
His style is so cool to me. Like, he's like this laid back, like, man, it's just fishing. Like he's a lot of these like Alabama guys are like, oh, it's just fishing, but they're over the top. He is actually laid back. Doesn't care. Like his shoe could be untied all day long. I don't know. But it's too bad for a lot of those guys. I'm happy that guys like Greg Hackney, Jason Christie, like especially those two got out and are back on the bass circuit, because those are two guys that I probably enjoy watching the most. But for the rest of them, that circuit, dude. Like
from a viewer standpoint too, I feel like this is after all these new adjustments came out. This is the first time I've seen like the top level BBT guys, top level bass dudes, top level anglers in the sport really come out and talk about how this is kind of getting weird. And usually before, like during any changes or whatever, they're like, oh, it could be good. You know what I mean? Progression.
They're all basically all now going, this is bad.
No, it doesn't matter if you're low level, got kicked out, or top guy in the league. They're all kind of like, this is just painful.
And even the top, like the top guys, like, and the top guys in their league, like their boys are like even holding back, their words, where in times they'd be like pushing the issue.
Yeah.
Now you're like, you can feel the tentativeness in their voice.
Oh, for sure. It's not good. I would say, I'll say, and we'll move on from what in the world's going on after this. I just thought this was one thing we could not touch on after talking about it previously on this show. But the one positive spin zone I will give the BPT for this is maybe it'll just go back to being an on TV show in the winter, like it should have always stayed.
Right.
Gosh,
everybody
ones were so cool,
and
it was so good. It was
honestly
so
blindfolded
good.
lakes, that they were so freaking cool.
And hopefully it just transitions back to that maybe the invitationals turn back into the top level and they just are able to work their way out like that. That's what I'm hoping will happen. And that's the transition, but I don't know.
That was such a good format. I remember when it was first getting popular, that style of format. We were working, and to play it back into work, but we were working at this one factory, and we had like this break area that we'd all go and have like our morning break and then our lunch break, whatever. But they'd have TVs, and there would be the MLF fishing, and during that time slot, during a break time, and people loved it. If they like were a little bit into the indoors or outdoors, sorry, they loved it. They were all about it. They're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like, oh, look at that. Like, this guy's going nuts, and they could talk about this guy, like complain about Mike Iaconelli going nuts, and they could talk about like 12-inch fish being caught, whatever. Oh, that's a dink. But still, they were talking and they were enjoying it.
Yeah.
And they're actually watching it. Now it's like,
yeah,
what are you actually putting out?
Yeah, no, for sure. It was definitely not. It's been a crazy wild ride. I guess we'll see how the next year goes, but it was something I felt like we had to bring up. And other than that, I think we'll roll into this until our guest joins us. I think he's coming, soon. But we got a little bit of the weigh-in. And for people who have not been a part of this podcast, this will probably be a great segment to lead us into BP. The weigh-in is a segment we do where we do a little snake draft, and we draft a team of things is the best way I would say it. Then we put out a graphic. Our viewers and listeners vote on who wins. And we're starting to get enough votes now. We need feedback from all of you. We've been getting feedback on actually weigh-in topics, and that'll be one of them today. But we need feedback from you on a year-long, probably scoring we'll do, and some type of punishment or reward for the winner, like Stolski has to do the turkey trot hungover. So we need some ideas for that. But today's segment, what we're going to get into, I'll probably come up with a better name for social media, but it's going to be the worst types of online fishing police.
And you all know them. Everybody who's listening to this has been a part of a social media platform and have seen the police.
If you have posted an outdoors picture, you have had them on your page.
Yeah, they have infiltrated your post and they have said something. They have tried to police you.
Cuffing you.
It could be your grandpa with his grandson holding just a beautiful 8-inch bluegill off the dock, and they'd come in hot.
Yes.
I am looking up who won the last one because I know this was discussed. Our last one was the weigh-in of the best hangover food. It was hotly contested between me and Hahner.
That is such a good topic. I'll give that. That is incredible.
What got Hahner got him up there was the Bloody Mary, and the only argument I had was I don't know if you can consider that a food.
Cheese curds aren't round.
I have sent the picture of it, and this will get brought up every weigh-in we've ever had. But breaded cheese curds are round.
Within the week, I was with you.
Your fine establishment that all you Wisconsinites brag about, Culver's. Their cheese curds are round. That is like my trump card. Like, I don't know how else to get it through your guys' skull. But just looking at the archive.
Where did Wild Bill go?
I think he probably had bad service. Or
a whisper in the wind.
Gone. So we had our last weigh-in. Oh, Hahner, you did get the W.
Boom.
Hahner did get the W. His team was the Culver's Butterburger Basket, Chick-fil-A Chicken Minis, Hangover Cure Bloody Mary with all the toppings, and a Dive Family Restaurant Skillet. We did get a video message from Drunkwood. He sent us a video message, and he was definitely taking a shit before going out on the lake. But he sent us a video message, and he was mad that Hahner selected Chick-fil-A Minis because they're not open on Sunday.
See, and I had a rebuttal for that. I'm like, what? Saturday. No, it's Friday. It's Friday that most people go out because they're responsible. And then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, that's kind of incorrect too. I'm like, no, he's right.
But Hahner got the W. So this one, Hahner's going to lead us off. I will go in the middle.
Okay.
And then we will have Sobi bring up the rear.
Okay.
Hahner, lead us off for the worst types of social media fishermen.
Okay, what I came up with.
Is it the worst types of social media fishermen or social media fishermen police?
Fisherman police. Sorry.
Okay.
Social media fisherman police.
Shit. No, police. No, that's a different story. 1 second. Thinking about my picks. I'm gonna go with I use this. I coined this phrase quite often, but it applies to a lot of the outdoors. I'm gonna go with the barstool biology guy. And what I mean by the barstool biology guy is he understands fish treatment, fish management, fish conservation better than the DNR, yourself, your grandfather, your father, your brother. Does not matter. Does not matter what you post, how you treat anything. They know better than you, and they will let you know it.
That is good. That is a good. That is a good pick. That's a broad topic. So I think we might be able to nab one or two things underneath that. I think it's fine because it's a good overarching one. But like, there's a couple details under there where I think you could pick a specific guy. You know what I mean?
The scientist, the biologist.
Yeah,
the biologist.
I have the barstool biology, but I will take it with the second pick. We all know this person. We all see this person. I feel like this person's slightly more prevalent in ice fishing too, but they are everywhere. And it is Photoshop. That is it. That's all they comment on the post. Photoshop.
I like it.
They were really the trailblazers.
It is incredible too because they just
trailblazers.
really have no idea what Photoshop actually is. They probably don't even have it on their computer, have never used it. And they just comment Photoshop.
I feel like that's where it all started. I feel like the fishermen police on social media, the OGs, they were the first ones to say it's Photoshopped. And then the others came along and said, no, we have ideas too. We're about to get critical. So I like that pick, Adam. They're the OGs. Yeah.
I thought that was the first thing I thought of when we did it. I was like, yeah, it's Photoshop. So Sobi, you're at that back end of the snake. You get to go first and you get to go last. So what do you got?
Number one, I'll say the fishermen police that strictly comment, oh, that fish is dead. Whether it's at a bass tournament weigh-in or especially like weigh-in pictures for a local derb, or you could be holding a big crappie when you're ice fishing. Just, oh, that fish is dead.
I'm gonna like pull the flag on myself. There are a lot of bass pictures where you're like,
where they are a little glazed.
That one's dead. That one's
little yellow eye.
I mean, a little yellow. Be gone, little buddy. And you just kind of like throw it down into the weeds. Like,
You'll catch a second win. Come on.
You got this.
You got this.
That's a good one. What do you got next, so?
And then basically the oblivious outdoorsman. Why would you do that to a fish? Where like they must have clicked some sort of hashtag or something and that brought you to your page or somewhere in the outdoor section where their social media really doesn't reside, and they found themselves in a pile of fish pictures and they comment on your picture like they've never seen someone hold up a fish that has been hooked in the face before. Why would you do that to that fish? Mm-hmm. And it's weird. And you're kind of like, how'd you get here? Where are you from?
See, my page isn't quite nearly Sam Sobiak level, so I don't get those.
No, you've got those before. But I see him, too. I'm not just talking for me. I just see
That's
him.
good. That's good. So this one, I don't know how I want to label this one, and it has much more to do with your regional bass circuits. I think this is where this fits in the most. We have a handful of these guys in Minnesota. So my friends who are listening right now, shout out to Hayden, Damian, and Matt Voigt, because they know the exact person I'm going to talk about with this comment. But no matter what you post for entry fees and payouts, they say higher entry fee, low and higher entry fee, payout, less people. All the time. Every post. That's all they do. They're the guy who's like, you're like, hey, entry fee's $500 this year, and we're gonna pay out $10,000, and they're like, make it $1,000 and pay $25,000, and then I'll entertain fishing with you peasants.
Yes, I will not stand.
Yeah, the entry. So basically, it's the entry fee and payout isn't big enough.
Dance,
for me. Yeah,
dance. Comes in with 2 fish.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or my favorite is they do this and they've actually never even come.
Yeah.
Like they actually haven't ever signed up, but they love to give you the feedback.
Yep. And they will never come. They will never come. They're just that one outspoken voice of the group.
Okay, Hahner, what do you got? You're back to back.
All right, I'm back to back. So the one that I get quite a bit is the tell your location guy.
Oh, I don't have that written down, but that is such a obvious good one. Yeah.
And these people, I it's like, come on, bro. Like
the ones who just they're like, where the one specifically where someone comments, where are they? And they just go, they literally comment the name of the lake.
They comment the name of the lake. Like, I am trying my best to hide it. I'm trying my best. And you're doing the opposite of that. You're doing the opposite. They're like, and then people start like commenting on that lake name. I'm like, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down,
delete.
Block. And then they'll like message me later, like, why did you delete my message? What, you know, I'm like, dude. And then I'll have to like go on this whole diatribe of like, okay, fishing ethics. It's only a 600-acre lake. Like, let's be aware of what we're doing here. And they just do not care. They're like, oh, I know it. I got it. I got it.
That is a very good one, Cody. The good old like the tell your location guy.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that one. That is like
and I'm like,
it's the worst in ice fishing, Sobi. You know it.
Oh,
yeah.
And
I'm sure
dude, this is a little side topic, but my favorite now is Sobi's been posting so many like screenshots of the One Boat Network app. Like at the beginning of videos and stuff. Now on our Crappie Chronicle videos, we'll get comments of people being like, yeah, if your spot was blown up, it was probably Sobi. He's been posting screenshots of spots.
Yep.
And we're just like, dude, he's not posting the lake he's on.
An example map. It's like an example map. Like
he's been looking at different bays on Minnetonka for the last 2 months, posting like screenshots of different areas. None of them are little lakes.
Like you have a seminar, you just close your eyes on an avionics app and you're like, yeah, that spot. Yeah, that'll fit.
All right. What's your next one, Hahner? What do you got?
Okay,
and then we'll go through the last round.
I am biased on 2 of them, but I'm just gonna go with this one because it's close to my heart. But this is based on muskie fishing ethics, and it's the muskie fishing catch and release ethics guy.
I am so not a part of this world on social media, but I wish I was, just to be a fly on the wall more, because I bet the nitpicking and the just I bet this small world on social media is just like the Wild West.
Oh my gosh.
Gunning people down.
There's certain like hotbeds of muskie fishing. Like you have Green Bay. You have like, I guess Minnesota as a whole. You have Lake of the Woods. You have these little hotbeds. But it seems like the biggest divas are in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And my God, if you do one thing wrong, if you hold that fish for 2 seconds too long, they're jumping on your case. And I understand it.
It's
I
such
understand.
a musky world thing.
I get it. I practice it as well as I can. You have your formation, unhook, let it settle, grab it, bump, picture in the water. Sometimes things go a little bit haywire. It's a big fucking fish. Sometimes it flops out of your hand. I understand. Don't let it touch the carpet. Well, what if my hand shoots through its gills and my hand gets raked by teeth? I'm gonna let the goddamn thing go.
Yeah.
My hand or a fish.
And if anybody says that's never happened to them, then they haven't gone.
They're lying to you, straight lying. Or it'll be a little kid. It could be as like
it could be a 7-year-old with his first muskie.
7-year-old, and the dad's like trying to position the fish with his kid and like giving him a glove, like, oh, I want the good picture. How dare you allow your kid to have this picture? By damn, do you know the resources and time that have gone into that fish? Like, Jesus Christ, just settle down. It's still a fish.
Yeah.
Still a fish.
I do love
that guy.
obviously muskies.
Seems like you've seen a couple of them.
Oh, it's horrible.
All right. So
Horrible.
I got my next one, Sobi. I think it goes kind of along with the Photoshop comment guy.
Yeah.
It's the always one bigger guy.
Yeah.
So you post and you like a perfect picture of like a 16-inch crappie, and they're like, it looks like the 16 and a half I caught 2 years ago.
Or you post
cool,
a picture
always.
of a 13-incher, and he's like, oh, dude, I caught a 13 and a half this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not even that bad. It's just more of like,
Yeah.
It's just like,
let me have this one.
a touch bigger, but you know he's lying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to say this, too. This goes back to what Cody said about the muskies. I obviously, a muskie is a delicate, beloved fish.
Yeah.
But I love how there's just so much policing that goes on with a muskie picture or a release or a clip or a video. And then it is just widely accepted throughout the United States. You could show a picture of you with a pike on over your head that you had just pistol whip jerked out of a mat, and people would just like it, never comment.
Like
isn't that crazy? What a double standard. They're like brothers.
Days. Well, there's a reason there's probably a racist problem in the world. It's that reason right there.
The pike has never been stood up for once for a fish handling thing, and a muskie could just be tilted the wrong way, and they're like, hey, you're under skill.
Like, if you're holding a muskie at like a degree over half, you are going to get ripped. Absolutely ripped. It's worse than trout. It's worse. It has to be.
It's great. And there are all these just self-glorified hard asses, too.
Oh, yeah. We're muskie fishing.
Yeah.
They're
all Sims pros. Right, Hahner?
Oh. There's a couple. I catch 5 muskies a year. I got this stuff.
We're going to rip through the rest of this weigh-in because I've just been watching Brandon laughing every once in a while in the background for a little bit now. Mostly at the muskie comments, so it's been good. But we'll get you in a sec, dude. But Sobi, you got 2 more to bring it down, and then we'll go back to me and Hahner quick.
2 more.
Bring it home. Yep.
We'll go with it's kind of broad, but we'll go with the preacher. So maybe you post anything about like, what you caught it on or how you catch it, but the preacher is going to jump in and say, no, this is actually what's going on, or this is actually what's happening. Oh, I know. Midwinter, don't be afraid to look out in the basins for crappies. The shift is kind of coming. We're now, jumping into kind of, your midwinter bite. No. Actually, majority of the fish are on the weed lines right now, or something like the actually guy, the actual preacher.
Hasn't been on the water for the last 4 weeks, but based on what I know, my knowledge, my 4 days on the water during that time period, this is what I have seen. This is actually what's happening.
Yeah.
You don't know what you saw. Yeah. Forget what you saw. It was an accident.
He's lying to you.
He's lying to you.
Yeah. Okay. So the preacher, the actually preacher, And then I don't know if I've just been getting spammed or whatever, or I just see it on a lot of accounts. I see it on a lot of accounts.
You can't say the good old bot that's commenting, send a phishing page.
Send your pic to whatever. Because dude, I go on everybody's page and send your pic to blah blah blah. Send your pic. But it's so funny because I've got buddies that will like
just the bots. Like that's what you want it labeled as.
like send your pic to. Send your pic to. I've been seeing on
That is
pages.
such a great. Oh damn.
Yeah. Because and I've been commenting on some people's posts, send your pic to, and then I'll just like tag Oscar Mayer Wiener, like the company or something like that, just to kind of, I don't know, fuel the fire. Murray used to comment, send your pic, and then at like Riley Reed.
That's
so
funny.
my last one would be, and it definitely is with the ice fishing community the most. And they literally get called the online fishing police. It's the people who definitely know you're over your limit. When you post, when you post like your limit of like, yeah, you know, your fish, you're like, this is what I caught today. I'm going home to eat. And they're like, over your limit. You should be protested.
Or you're with a pile of buddies and you like take a picture of like you and maybe one other buddy with a pile of fish when it's like, okay, we got 6 dudes here, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess maybe it's not shown.
Hahner, bring us home.
Okay, so the one I can think about, especially like towards my page, is the sabotage guy. Like, I post a bunch of like maybe quirky comments or something in my pictures, or I had in the past, and then I'll post one like kind of like artsy one with like a good song, and that guy will fucking roast me. Roast me. He'll throw something stupid down. I'm like, oh well, all right, I blew it. That is gone.
Or
that
it goes along with Hahner gets publicized in his once a year Wired to Fish article, and he posts something somewhat intelligent, and then gets ripped to shreds.
One of my friends or something will be like, douchebag. Posted. I'm like,
maybe that's even a better one. Yeah, buddies outside of like the fishing world that like follow you that will just dump some comments on your stuff where you're like, dude,
like,
come on.
Like, this is my moment. This is my moment.
Yeah, so that is our way-in of the worst type of social media fisherman police. Mm-hmm. So for everybody that needs to know, just vote online for the poll. We'll get it posted. Just to wrap through one more time, the only honorable mention I had that I was going to say is, and it was a little touchy, but like Maggie Carcella would have definitely laughed at this one, or Jesse Baker. It's the dude who comments on one of like the badass fisherwoman posts, and they go, "Nice smile." That guy always just pissed me off.
I think if we had a woman on here, she would absolutely just destroy us.
Yeah, we probably don't even understand.
Us.
Yeah, Maggie and Jesse would kill us. But okay, so we got Hahner with the Barstool biologist, tell your location guy, musky fisherman catch and release guy, and the sabotage guy. Good one.
That's a good lineup.
We got me with Photoshop. Entry fee is too low and payout is wrong. Otherwise, I'd fish guy.
Yep. God, that's
always one bigger guy, and you're over your limit. Sobi with that fish is dead. Why would you do that to that fish? I feel like these are for people that have much bigger social media pages than me. And
you see them.
And
we see them.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Yeah,
totally.
Actually, preacher, and send your pick to bots.
That's a good one. The last one,
that one was a solid.
Yeah. Well, now he's been waiting, but we'll bring Brandon in. So yeah, Brandon, what did you think of that social media fishing police segment?
I get every single one of them on a single post sometimes. I'm impressed that you guys just listed half of the comments on a single post.
Do you have any honorable mentions that we missed that you're like, oh, dude, this is number one and they missed it?
Oh, I'll like post a picture of my kid and my wife or something. And they'll go, when's the next video coming out?
Dude, that is such a good one. That should have been 1-1.
Picture that encapsulated just quality time. Then it's like,
Yeah.
hey, when's the next video coming out?
Yeah, nothing to do with it. It'd be like Halloween costumes, or my kid. It'd be like a post about my kid's birthday or mine and Tiff's anniversary. Hey, it's been a long time. When's the next video coming out? I'm like, geez, I don't know. Usually I just tag Kyle and call it a day.
But seriously, when's Champlain coming out?
Yeah.
What, after St. Clair?
I don't know.
I'm gonna put BP on the graphic with his one answer, and he's just gonna dust all of that.
Yeah.
That's such a good answer. I'm sure Sobi feels that just to his core as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, Brandon, great to have you on. I think it's been a long time since we probably all seen each other, but chat a little fishing, a little hunting, just go around the grommet with you. But I think the first thing, Sobi, you had something, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just going to open with just a light question with what piece of literature did you last read on that bookshelf behind you?
It's actually the last book I read on this shelf. I don't know. I'm currently reading a David Goggins book.
Okay.
Which was the last one I read on this one?
Got Cody way. Okay.
That's a good one. I've read all of them.
You can't stunt with a podcast interview in front of a bookshelf.
Read one.
It might have been The Man in the Arena. This might have been the last one.
Show it closer to the camera.
Eddie
Do you have the
Gallagher
Catcher in the
story.
Rye up there? Or
No, don't have that one.
Oh, okay.
This is a great one. Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights book. That's a really good one.
I'm not gonna say anything.
You got him
This
so off
is a
guard with that
fantastic one.
question.
The 5
The
a.m.
5 a.m.
Club.
Club.
Oh,
What's that
yeah.
one about?
I've actually
I've read
heard
that
that's
one
very
twice,
good.
actually.
Yeah.
This one, this would be a good one for you, Sobi.
Ooh, I bought that book in an airport one time, and then I freaking did not read it, dude. But I think I own it. That's crazy.
too.
I'll read it. I'll read
Yeah,
it.
that's a good one. I don't know. There's a bunch of good ones. If you're wanting to feel about eating healthy, this is a fantastic one.
What are the cliff notes on that one?
It talks about your
Gut health.
your 5 different defense systems of your body, and foods that are scientifically proven to, I guess, help build those different systems up. So whether it's like your stem cells, your microbiome, and your gut health, and angiogenesis, I think it is. It's like a bunch of different stuff in there.
I just want to make sure those all have audio book versions correct, because Cody can definitely not read that much.
I don't read good.
They might. Hey, did you know there's a school for kids who can't read good?
What is this? Center for Ants?
Exactly. Glad you got my reference. Yeah.
Have you done audiobooks before on the road as you're traveling? Driving?
One. I
feel like you do a lot more.
No, I usually listen to music or some podcasts, but I like a physical book. I like to actually read.
That's fair. I hold on to way more when I actually read than when I'm listening on a boat or driving or whatever it is. It just in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, and I like to either like wake up early in the morning, read and drink coffee, or like I'll read some before I go to sleep. And then when my eyes start getting I can't keep my eyes open, and I fall asleep with the book open, and then I can usually close it and go to sleep.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think so one thing, I mean, with the books and all the travel on the road, you fished a little bit of the opens the last couple of years. I know you were hopping into them. And I think that's where you met Sobi and Hahner, right?
No, I would have met Sobi, I think, before that.
Yeah.
Where did
But
you
that's
guys
where I
meet,
hung out with
Sobi?
Hahner before.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
I
but
think so.
but that was a good that's a good reference though, Adam, because that was a hell of a trip per se. Where were we? In South
That was
Carolina?
the only time that we'd all like hung out at the same time, though. It was
Yeah.
definitely in the opens, and the opens for me are kind of the like no stress. I can go fish the
Yeah.
way I want to fish. If I catch them, great. If I don't, not a big deal. I can try different techniques, or like I can approach those events differently than I would the elites because I don't have to worry about points or any of that. Oddly, it seems to work out more in my favor. I don't know why I don't just do that on the elites all the time too, but they're definitely fun. And then there's a whole different group of guys, like to that point,
Yeah.
that I don't get to see all the time in the elites. So there's like a whole group of friends that fish the opens, whether they're on the boater side or co-angler side, that you get to hang out with.
What's the culture like? Would you say like at a campground during an elite event versus an opens event? Post tournament, pre tournament, anything, or is it the
Elite
same?
events are just like straight business, pretty much.
Yeah.
Where the opens are way more relaxed. Like we got together and hung out way more. You know, like people gather around. Usually, it ended up being my camper a lot of times. People would end up gathering around my camper because it's the bigger one. I'd be out trying to do tackle, and there's 10 dudes standing around your boat.
Yeah.
And then the elites, it's like everyone just, you get off the water super late, you eat, go to sleep, wake up, do it again, right? There's not a lot of just like hanging out time versus the opens. I feel like you end up with that a lot more, especially on like Wednesday where you have to be off the water at noon. And then you end up having a lot more time for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I would. So with the two-part question here. Number one, how did you like having co-anglers in the opens? Like, did that ever bother you or not? Not really.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Give us your worst story and maybe your best story too.
And if his name's Connor Graham, that's okay.
Let's see. Worst one. I had one a long time ago. It wasn't even actually in the opens. It was in the nation. And we were fishing down in Yuma, Arizona. And it was super tough. Like 9 pounds a day that was good. And if you caught 11 or 12, you were a hero. And I had this one backwater that had, it's kind of like a back channel, had good flow through it. And I could work my way through there and I would get one bite a day. And it was a 4+ pounder. So it was a major kicker when you're talking 9-pound bags, give you the possibility of qualifying for the national championship. And this is 2010. And I don't even remember if it was day one or day two, but I've got a guy in the back of my boat and I'm throwing a frog. And I throw this frog right past this little perfect reed corner. It's sticking out into the current. It's got a little back eddy in it and a little mat right on the front of it where the current's pushed it up.
Bingo.
And I have a visual reference. Bomb my frog up there, starts walking down through the current, gets right to that mat, and this giant one jumps over the top of it, lands on the frog, and just sinks my frog. And I'm like, oh, and I'm reeling as fast as I can. And I say out loud, hold on, I'm going to make another cast. And I get my frog all the way in and I'm setting my rod down and picking my other one up. And a chatterbait flies past my eyeballs. And it follow the cast with my eyes and I see it. And in slow motion, in my mind, I'm just going, oh, no. And it lands perfectly where this bass
Oh, he made the shot.
He nails it. And instantly he goes, I got one. And I'm like, really?
You got one?
Oh, really?
I would have guessed you were going to get a bite there. Now, how would you have known you were going to get a bite? He ends up landing it. And and
Is it a 4P?
Oh, it's a 6.2. It's big fish of the entire week. He wins big fish for the entire tournament. Now, good news is I ended up still making nationals. I won the state team, and then I won nationals at the Red River and made the elites. So it all worked out. But that guy literally could have
altered the course of your career.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have adjusted, I might not have made nationals and never been on the elites, and you guys wouldn't even know who I was, and we wouldn't even be doing this podcast.
In a different dimension, you would have been in my place.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're swapped with Cody Hahner right now.
In Green Bay.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
Well, that's a horror story for sure, though. That's pretty good. I like how he nailed the shot, though. If he had the gusto to go for it after seeing that,
I mean,
you might as well just
you better
nail it.
You better catch that fish.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
He had the balls to do
I remember hearing a Jason Christie story, how he was like, a co-angler kept casting over his like front of his bow, and it kept like the line was touching his shoulder, and he's like, do that one more time, and he just kept casting, and the guy did it one more time, and he reached down casually, grabbed his scissors, and just cut his line and just kept casting. I'm like, that was the coolest shit. That was, I heard that story. I'm like, I could totally see it, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Speaking of
just
co-anglers,
reach straight out, with a pair of scissors, and like, reach the line,
and like, I mean, I can see by the books behind you, you're a Type A personality. When you get on the water, the switch is flipped. I mean, you're a little bit different person than you are off the water, and if something is in your zone to do your job, that's not good. That's not good. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, it's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, I fished out of the back of the boat, and I get like that it's super difficult. And a lot of times, like, say I'm fishing a brush pile, and I've got a guy, he's been super respectful all day, super cool. I'll tell the guy, like, hey, cast up here. Like, if I'm catching fish and whatever, we're having a good day, I'll be like, cast right here. Like, throw it this one. And so it's all situational.
Yep.
But if a guy just assumes that he can just pay half the entry fee and fish the front of the boat, then I'm not down with that.
Well, he gave you $20 at the end of the day for your gas for running 160 miles.
That was fair.
That was a nice tip for the guide fee.
And I mean, that's another perfect example. I've had people literally not give me any gas money, and I've had guys walk up and hand me $100 bill before they even take a seat in the boat.
Yeah,
dude, I think
like, I'm gonna forget. Here's $100.
By far the smartest decision you could make as a co-angler is pay your guy. Like, if you're going to give your guy like $60 to $100 for gas or like whatever it is right away at the beginning of the day, you are going to get some good casting opportunities. Like, your boater's going to be like, I like this guy. Like, you want to start the day on a high note?
I think
get him right
the
away.
money up front would be the key. I fished one open as a co on, maybe it was Smith or something in the fall, where, like, it's just like spotted bass would have been the ticket if you're a co, and a lot of them, like, follow the boat and go into the boat, and I was just like watching the back of his screens all day one, and then my day two guy, I rolled in there right away, excited, like, oh, I can do this again, you know what I mean? I'll freaking cherry drop right out of the back of his boat, and I went in there right away, and I was like, I'll tip you really good in gas money if you keep your back screens on, you quit putting them on standby. And he's like, you're good. I was like, oh. He's like, no, you're good. I was like, oh, I should have gave him money up front, and
I wouldn't have believed you either.
I was like, no, you're good.
My batteries are about to die, dude. I don't know.
Like, no, you're good. I was like, oh, shit. Okay. Guess and pray. But yeah, I'm sure the co-angler stories are incredible.
With that co stuff, Brandon, what do you think of the whole nation changes? Are you like up to date on like how that all got updated and everything lately?
I kind of understand how it rolls now. I can see a lot of good in parts of it. I would have written it up slightly different. I had some ideas of how I would have liked to have seen it get structured. I mean, I don't know that I fully understand it, but I do like the fact that a guy can make it all the way through as a co-angler, right? Because it just gives more opportunity for guys that aren't able to do it. I don't know that I like that the national championships, however many, 250.
Yeah, I mean it's an
boats
open
or something now.
It's a lot.
I wish they would have kept it at the 50 for that.
Yeah.
50, I guess 50 plus the other world or like country qualifiers, right? Japan, Mexico, Italy, all those. But I mean, it gives more people opportunity and I guess blends it a little bit more with the opens.
Yeah, for Sobi, you probably don't know the updates, but basically what they changed it to now is there's obviously your nation state tournament, and then so like in Minnesota, the way it goes is at Leech Lake last year, if you finished in the top 6, you got an automatic bid to nationals. You don't even have to go to the qualifier. But if you finished in 7th to I think it was like 16th, like so the next 10 they basically get an early registration code for that regional that's in La Crosse at the beginning of May. And that will end up filling roughly 130 to 140 spots, but they're taking a 250 boat field. So like say for me, for example, I finished like 30th in that tournament. Well, I can still register for that regional or qualifier or whatever they're calling them. And I plan to. The one in La Crosse, because then I have 3 good days or 2 good days or whatever. I can go to the national just off of that. So it's a lot more open now, which I kind of like. I kind of don't like at the same time. But with the way the opens got, with like 9 is the only way you can make the elites, they definitely opened up the nation to being like, oh, this is actually a pretty viable option now to like dunk some time in if I'm looking at that. But it is very different. I agree what you're saying, Brandon.
Yeah. And the nation has always been and should continue to be the most affordable route to make it to the classic and the elites.
Yeah.
A guy from the West Coast like me that was funding their entire way and had to work, to get the money to then dump back into your fishing. The nation was literally the only option I had. That's why I spent 7 years fishing it and never fished a Bassmaster Open until after I qualified for the elites.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the money or the time to travel to those events. And so the nation's super important to be able to, give that opportunity to guys that are good enough that are maybe just not in the financial position to have the time or the money to go do the opens.
Yeah, for sure. We'll dive into the whole. I mean, we had you here to chat Western hunting, and that's what we're gonna do. But the only one thing I wanted to ask you, just with the nation stuff and like making the classic down in the Delta and everything, like being real, not on like a regular BTL interview and stuff, dude, you had to just be like shitting bricks. Just like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm going against KVD right now. Like, how did I get in this position?
There was part of that. But I was there to win.
Yeah.
I didn't show up and be like, oh, cool, I made the classic. Happy to be here. And so I had to take it took a lot of mental thought. And that didn't just happen overnight. There was months and months of me thinking about that after I qualified. Of like, okay, last week I was reading about these guys in a magazine and trying to copy and emulate the techniques that they were doing and trying to learn the techniques they're talking about. And now I have to beat them this week. And, you literally have to beat the guys with the same techniques that they taught you. You have to beat them at their own game, essentially. And I went into it with a ton of respect for those guys, but I knew that I couldn't fish scared if I was going to win.
Yeah.
Now,
like you
I'm not gonna lie. When the fog
That's some
lifted,
David
and
Goggins
I
shit
look
right there.
around, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's Kevin, there's Aaron, there's Scott Rook. I'm like,
welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a time where you were
Yeah.
putting the low bricks. Yeah.
Welcome.
Maybe
But
just
in
the
my
visual
mind-
sight.
but in my mind, I instantly it clicked. Must be in a pretty damn good spot.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
if this caliber of guys are starting within 100 to 200 yard circle of me, I'm in a pretty dang good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it like you were a high level athlete, and wrestling, for people that don't know, is very individual. You have to have your mind right and very
Yeah.
intense. And you obviously have a mindset that's much different than most of the people on the Elite Series. Like, and that is what is probably your number one asset, is being able to manipulate your mind and do what you need to do on the water every single day. And like I saw that pretty quickly as like an angler. I mean, could you talk about like the mental side of professional fishing, and what sets apart certain guys like a Kevin Van Dam or a Brandon Palaniuk from, an opens guy, a nations guy, a guy who's just good around his local area?
Yeah, a lot of it. Well, it's all mental.
Yeah.
Because all of the skill sets can be learned, and I more so now than ever. Right before, say you go back 20 years ago, there wasn't the amount of information out there to learn. So you needed to have a good mentor or a crazy amount of time on the water that you learned things to shorten that learning curve. But when you get to the elite level, everybody can skip a jig under a dock. Yeah, some guys are going to do it better than others, but everybody can throw a deep crankbait. Everybody can throw a spinnerbait, a frog, mechanically, everyone is on average pretty even keeled, just from a skill set.
Yep.
And so then the only thing that leaves for guys that are consistently good over time, right? Anyone can, I shouldn't say anyone, but anybody on the elites has the ability to win any given day. But the guys that do it consistently or are in the top of the standings consistently, that's a mental thing. And then that goes into a lot of different aspects of that. But it all comes down to like your approach on the water, your discipline, your drive off the water, and the things that you're willing to do that, nobody sees, right? When you're organizing your tackle at 12 o'clock at night and you're tying extra knots and you're doing all those little things right that people don't see, but you do that day in and day out until it becomes habit. And then that, essentially is what people see when you hold up the trophies.
Right.
So like with that, I would say, do you have like one, maybe it's slogan or mental thing for on the water? Like I remember when I was first going to start do opens or national stuff, I was talking to Cody when we were smallmouth fishing, and I was asking him like, what's maybe one rule you have or something. And he told me, and something I've thought about whenever I've been tournament fishing now for the last however many years, is if you think of something 3 times, go do it.
Yeah.
That's
I have
And
one
like,
very
is
similar
there,
to that.
yeah, do you have something like that? Because he told me that, and like it's stuck with me, where there's times where like, and you notice it throughout a day where, you think of this thought or idea of something you should go do, and you're like, no, that's stupid. And then you never think of it again. But then there's some times where it's like, you think it 3 minutes later, you think it again. Then like a minute later, you think it again, and you're like, all right, screw it, pick up the trolling motor and you just go. But do you have anything like that mentally? Like, there's a bunch of different stuff, obviously, but is there anything you roll by each day?
The guy that got me started bass fishing, he used to always say this, and I'm like, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said in your entire life. But now it makes sense. He'd always be like, they're going to be where you find them. And at first, I was like, well, yeah, duh. Of course. Like, obviously, that's the same for everybody. They're going to be where you find them. But when you take a step back and you think about it, I live by that now, where I don't get caught up in preconceived notions. Right? You always start on a body of water with what you think is going to happen, but it keeps me from trying to force something into happen, or forcing a bite, or forcing a technique or an area. And literally just like the times that I've won AOI, I've been able to just constantly keep pushing forward and keeping that in my mind. It's like, and a lot of that comes with confidence, right? If I throw at that tree and I don't get a bite, and you have enough confidence in your fishing ability and enough confidence in the bait that you're throwing at that tree, and you don't get a bite, I was like, there's not a fish in there. You know, the worst thing you can do is be like, oh, you put more confidence in that tree than you put in yourself.
Yeah.
And so you're like, you need to throw the whole tackle box at this tree because you think that tree has all the fish in it. And you run through your whole tackle box and you don't get a bite. And, now you're way behind the 8 ball. But if you have that confidence, and I think that's one thing that separates a lot of the guys is, without being too cliche, the whole confidence is your number one lure in your tackle box. But to break it down a little more, having that confidence in your ability and the lures that you throw in those situations allows you to continually move and push forward and find actively feeding fish.
Yeah. That sounds so simple and stupid, but like everybody's so guilty of making 8 or 9 or 20 flips under a tree that you shook one off the day before. And you're just like you said, you're just putting way too much confidence into one little area rather than, oh, there's probably not a fish there, or he's not biting.
Yeah.
Move.
And a lot of that
or it's 12:30 or 1 and you're like, please, dear God, I only have 2. Help me.
Yeah. Desperation. I think being able to look at it and say, okay, I'm going to make these 5 or 6 flips, or I'm going to make these 5 casts with a spinnerbait. It rolls through perfect. I didn't get a bite. There's not one there. Next tree. And I think that separates a lot of guys. And that just goes back to, they're going to be where you find them. It's like, I'll fish 2 foot, I'll fish 20 foot, 30 foot, 60 foot. Like wherever I find them, that's where they're at. And that's where I'm going to catch them. I don't care or think that I have to catch them flipping down the bank.
And I guess the only thing I had to add to that is I've always thought that like having that mindset over time, you are like, when you are out in nature, whether you're hunting, you're fishing, if you are embraced in that and you have that confidence all the time while you're out there, you just get into a zone where
100%.
You have the ultimate confidence. Everything is fluid. You throw something down, pick it up, throw it, and it just starts clicking really well for you. And Jay, I was talking to Jay Shakurik because he lives like 20 minutes away from me. We fish the same bodies of water, known his dad for a long time. But I'm like, how easy is it to come back to the Stevens Point flowage and catch fish after you've gone all over the country to some places that if you just rolled up there and started fishing, you'd be like, this is the biggest piece of shit ever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, I win everything there. It is so easy. I go to here, I go to there, I catch a smallmouth there, I catch a 4-pounder here. It's easy. It's like the best fishery ever. But could you like expand on how important it is to have that mindset? Just as an elite angler, what the difference is from a casual angler to an elite angler. I mean, it is wildly different than your weekend angler. People who say, I could do that. No, you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't.
A lot of it just has to do. I don't know. I mean, there is like something where certain guys are just born with it. Whatever biological makeup that is. I don't know. But you can see it in guys when they come on tour, and you can separate out the guys. You're like, yeah, that guy's going to be all right.
Yeah,
he's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
And they just kind of carry themselves differently. You see the way that they fish on live, and like you said, like everything's fluid. One of my favorite things to do: watch Jason Christie throw a spinnerbait.
Oh,
I'm just like mesmerized watching him throw a spinnerbait around bushes and trees and stuff.
I want to watch him 100% of the time. If I could have live on Jason Christie all day long, I feel like he's my dad at this point.
There is something majestic about him. And even if he's not fishing, just giving an interview. If you ever watch like his hands and just the way he's talking, and the way he goes like this, and he does really suck you in, and then you watch him fish, and it's like the same thing. He's like,
it's the Indian in him.
I know.
I know. It's the spiritual Indian in him.
I was telling you guys about this. I
think the other thing is you do, like when you get to a certain level in the elites, even when you've been doing it a long time, there's so many things that just become habit that you don't even think about that you do because you've done them so many times over and over again. That's why, like, when a guy is starting out, learning the fundamentals and doing those fundamental basic things correctly are the most important things. I don't care how many electronics or screens or how fast your boat is or any of that. None of that will matter if you don't have the core fundamentals. When you get to that level, there's so many other aspects of it that take cognitive thought, right, and take space in your brain. And the less things you have to think about, the more space that opens up for you to think about what's happening, what's changing, what are the conditions, what's my next move. And I mean, just a perfect example of that is like when you started throwing a bait caster, you had to think about every single movement, right? I was like, where do I put my hands? How do I push this down? How do I go back to make a cast? As you cast, you had to literally think about as you're doing it, like when to pull your thumb off, when to put your thumb back on, how much pressure. None of us right here on this screen ever think about that anymore. You just do it. You just grab a rod, you click the bail, cast it out there, your thumb gives the amount of pressure, you click the bail over and you start reeling. And so like that's one less thing that you actually have to think about. So you're already thinking, you're not thinking about how am I going to make this cast? You're thinking about, where do I need to make my cast? And you just do it. Right. And so the more of those types of things you can do and be fluid at, the better off you are at, getting in that zone.
Constantly striving
you don't
for
have
a
all
higher
of these
level
obstacles.
Yeah, definitely.
I got a question for you just based on that. So do you ever find yourself like getting ahead of yourself almost like where, like, obviously it is a fluid motion, but you're fishing in a spot and you're thinking about the next 2 or 3 hits you're going to do, spot changes, moves where you're not settling down in the spot that you're at. You're not even fishing the damn spot you're at mentally. Yeah. You find yourself there?
Yeah. That's also can be an issue just as much, and that goes to the whole fishing the moment type thing, right? But fishing every single cast, like being immersed in that cast, because a lot of guys will make all of the right casts, but they're going through the motions. It happens a lot in practice, especially where you can be in the right area. How many times have you heard a guy like, can't believe he caught him there. Like, I went through there in practice and I never had a bite. He may have just went through. He's like, oh yeah, it looks good on my map, but he goes through and he just burns through and he's casting. he's making all the right casts. He doesn't backlash. He's throwing a frog, whatever he's doing. But if you're not really fishing that cast, you know, stopping the reel when you need to, if you're throwing you make that extra little stop, you know, you just bump and you just keep reeling, you might not get that bite or that clue. And I think that's a big thing, right? Of a guy actually living in that cast or just going through the motions.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
It like, and you definitely understand it. And I've just been a student of it, but there's so many minute, like mental details and like mental obstacles that you have to jump to get to the, and I always thought it was like when I seem to be fishing the best is when I could get away from my own self and fish almost like I was above a certain level. You felt above everything else. You had control. You were control of your body, your mind. Everything was fluid. Everything was fine. You knew the next step. You were like calm. And it's those people who can constantly do that day in and day out that are the guys that you see at the top of the AOI over and over and over and over again, who understand those small details and can have a higher level of thinking above the I'm making the mechanics. The fish should be here, and going one step above, 3 steps above that type of thinking, higher level of thinking, pushing the limit.
Definitely.
It's just having a good blend between your limbic brain and your neocortex. You know, you
sure.
mix those
Yeah,
two
we
together,
get it. We
right?
get it.
And
You read.
Yeah,
you
that
read.
book,
I
that
get
book
it. Yeah.
back there said that. Yeah. David Goggins, carry the boats. Who's gonna carry the boats?
I was
The
just
subtle art of not giving a flip.
I was just gonna say, Hahner, we obviously have to chat hunting with BP because that's the main reason we had him on.
No, I have a question.
No,
we
Sobi,
were on
just
mentality,
give me 2
and
seconds
and
here.
I need to ask Cody one question.
Okay.
I really do.
It might be the same one. We might be thinking together here.
We're talking about bass fishing, confidence, mentality, and I want to know, what is it like, Cody, going into a muskie tournament and fishing a muskie tournament, and then what do you have? Like, where is your head at? One step ahead, fishing the cast, fishing the moment. When you have such a small sample of success on a tournament day, what landed one, got one follow? Like, how do you? What is?
Well, typically, bud, once the booze wears off, you're about ready to make proper figure 8. But honestly, muskie fishing and bass fishing, they go hand in hand. It's just the amount of time and the amount of like opportunities you have during that day.
Sure.
It's very like super similar. It's just the timing between things that happen. You have to be maybe a bit more patient in muskie fishing and allow more time for a certain pattern to happen. Rather, where bass fishing, I can sample. You can sample things.
Yeah.
You can constantly sample things. If you're on your shit, you can sample and keep trying different patterns and over. But muskie fishing, like, you have to give a certain amount of time to something, and then you have to know when that time lapse is up and go on to the next thing. But if you give yourself too little of time, you could totally miss a window. Or say you weren't there at the proper moon phase. You weren't there at, I don't know, moon under penis or whatever the fuck. Like, and you weren't throwing a 10-9 combo over this weed bed, and you weren't like it's a little bit different, but in all, it's the same. It really is. It's the same sort of mindset. It's just hunting fish.
I have one question.
Sure.
Do you, whether it's a muskie tournament or a bass tournament, do you always crank Ice Cube? It was a good day on your way to the ramp, or on your way back from the ramp?
Honestly, I think my little sister picked this up from Goodwill the other day, and I was feeling pretty good in it lifting tonight. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking rock this. But typically, I'm the kid like bumping EDM, in like if you
gosh.
hear something out your window at an open and you're like, what in the hell is that? And all the old people are looking.
Mm-hmm. That's you.
That's me.
I was gonna ask Hahner. We were talking so intelligent the last like 30 minutes. You guys talking about mental fortitude and thought and everything. I just wanted to ask Brandon, like, did you think Cody was that intelligent when he was leading going into day 3 of an open that he was probably going to win down on Hartwell and decided to divulge in several beers with you guys, or what?
Cody is one of those that you spend enough time around, you're like, yeah, that guy's just a bassy dude. He's just a fishy dude.
Yeah. Apparently.
He's just a catcher.
I can pull some electrical wire at this point.
And he knows how to drink like 27 beers in a night.
You betcha.
It's
a
incredible.
lot more than I can.
Brandon.
He has the rebound.
You may not be able to drink beers, but you can suck whiskey like a mother.
But one of the biggest reasons we have Brandon on, and we got a little long-winded there, so hopefully if he's got to go back to Tiff or his daughter, he can.
Parenting.
But if you want to dive into
you guys
hunting,
can probably hear Cora yelling at me.
yeah.
I can see her out there yelling through the glass.
But our boy Ryan is he's not here. I know he'd have a ton of awesome questions for you in terms of hunting. He just sent me a text earlier today. He's got a big bull down and he's 13,000 feet up in Colorado.
And a lot of snow.
He's in a lot of snow. He's on a limited entry hunt with his dad.
15 pointer, but he got it with 6.
Have you ever met Ryan, Brandon?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have.
He's a sweet dude. He's very DIY. Like he's not scared to go. Shit, I'll just go out to Montana for the weekend in the back of my truck and hunt antelope. I'll bounce out to Colorado and I'll do an over the counter bull tag and freaking tear it down. He's a cool
lot
dude.
A lot of respect for Ryan.
And then he's
the DIY,
the best cook I know, but wild game cook. But with that, how did you get into the whole obviously elk Western hunt? I was out in Idaho earlier this year. I actually went to the bathroom. It was kind of wild. I texted him and I was like, hey, I'm in town. But how did you get into that whole thing? I feel like being in that area, you kind of have to just based on what I saw, but it's got to be the best just getting back from an elite season and being able to get lost up there. It's definitely the most beautiful place I've been in the United States.
Yeah. Other than my family being here, it's the number one reason that I don't move away from here.
Yeah.
It's because I love to hunt in the off season here. And for lots of reasons, but my mom was actually the one that got me into it first. Like I got to give her the initial credit. Cause she grew up hunting, fishing, loved outdoors, single mom. When she was with my dad, like there's videos of them both taking us out, but even after they split, I think I was like 5, 6, something like that. She still would take me and my sister out, and fish and hunt and do all those things. And then the same guy that got me started fishing bass tournaments, he was just a family friend. And he would take me hunting too. And so I learned like archery hunting from him and how to chase elk and do all those things. And my mom shoots elk. I mean, when I was in high school, they would, call over the intercom like, Brandon, can you gather your things and come down to the office? And I'd be like, what is this about? I'd get down there and be like, hey, your mom shot an elk. She needs you to come help pack it out.
That's awesome.
That's badass.
So she'll
badass.
Excuse me out of school. It's like, hey, elk down. Got to go pack an elk. So I grew up in that lifestyle, and she lived it. And so then it just became natural for us to live it too. And so I've always had a lot of, just a love for the outdoors and the outside.
So when you go do the elk thing in the mountains up there, do you go back home and stay home, or like do you do the whole like go in the woods for 14 days or whatever, not come out? Like how do you tend to approach it?
It just depends on the year, and how much I got going on. How much off-season obligations I have. The last 2 years, obviously, I haven't done great big long missions because, we had Cora in June, so she wasn't very old, and I wanted to be around last year, and then Tiff could literally have a baby anytime now. So this year I didn't take any big long trips because I wanted to be close. September, October, her due date's in like 2 weeks. So, it could have happened in September, October. I didn't want to be gone super far away for a long time. So I had planned on being gone a week in Montana this year, but I shot a bull like the second day we were there. So I ended up not being gone for a week and came home pretty early on that.
No,
I guess preference-wise, I'll say I prefer to just be out there in the woods days on end.
What's it been like? I mean, watching, we've all gotten to see via like social media and stuff, and I kind of chatted with Carl about it a little bit, but how's it been like from your eye getting to watch Carl like dive into that whole thing? I'm sure you've had a very big impact on that.
Yeah.
And doing that, like, has it been cool?
It's super cool. It's awesome to have somebody that's very like-minded that you can share that with. And there's not a lot of people that you can just look at a mountain and be like, oh yeah, we're going up there. I'm like, oh cool. Is that where we're gonna stay? We're like, no, we're going up there, and then we're gonna drop down the backside, and we're gonna go up the next one, and then we're gonna drop down that and stay on the backside of that. And you're like, all right, mate. Here we go. And you just take off walking. And there's just not a lot of people that do that, and kind of he likes the gritty, nasty grind of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he prefers that, and so those people are hard to find, and that's what makes the best experiences out there.
Did he have any prior hunting knowledge before doing it with you, or did he hunt in Australia at all?
Yeah, he had hunted in Australia, and a lot of his buddies in Australia hunt, and so he had been around it and had hunted, red deer, kangaroos, pigs, whatever, and then came over here and had done some whitetail hunting and stuff, but not really like Western big game stuff.
Interesting. Dang.
Are you strictly elk, or do you ever dabble into other species out there like muleys, antelope, anything like that? Or is elk kind of king?
I love hunting everything, but elk is by
king.
Far, like, yeah,
the coolest.
That's what gets my blood flowing the most.
I mean, you hear it.
It's 1,000-pound turkey.
Yeah.
That has better senses.
Yeah.
In nearly every aspect.
Yeah.
They can smell you and see you, hear you. I mean, just the way that they live. I mean, well, I'm using my phone, so I can't show you guys a picture, but Carl hasn't posted about this yet. But when we were cutting his elk up yesterday, because we process it all at my house when we shoot one, and we're cutting it up, and I'm breaking down the front shoulder, and I'm cutting like down the flat part of the bone, and I'm cutting down. I hit something. I'm like, this is weird. Like, there shouldn't be any bone there, but the meat was kind of frozen because we hung it in my outside. I'm like, this is weird. I'm hitting it with my knife. I kind of just go over it and I pull it apart and I don't think anything of it. And I walk back to the counter where it's pretty much just bone laying there. And I look down and there's something shiny. I'm like, what is that? And I tap it with my knife and it goes tink, tink, tink. And I start looking a little bit more, and there's this much of an arrow shaft, a broadhead that had buried in that elk's front shoulder.
Oh my
and
God.
he just walked it off, and it wasn't infected around it. Nothing, it had to have happened, I would say, at least a year ago. It didn't happen this year because everything had grown around it too much. This year it still would have looked infected and things like that. So it had to have been at least last year, if not the year before, because you could see where it had entered and the bone had regrown. It had regrown around everything, and it was kind of concaved where that growth had happened. And it had, even if you look down the arrow shaft, it had everything had grown into that arrow shaft in that hollow cavity. It just filled everything around it.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's
I just walked it off. No
These things are
biggie.
so tough.
Freaking bruiser.
That's unreal. So you think, it's got to be I know Fighter always talks about his number one thing in the world is duck hunting. But for you, is it if you hear an elk up in the mountains, that's it? Or is it still bassin for you?
They're different feelings. They're different feelings for me. I always say the water has my heart, but the mountains have my soul.
Sure.
Because they just speak differently to me. You get a cool, crisp morning in September, and you've got that low fog layer across the valleys, and you throw a bugle out there, and one rips back at you, and it's just eerily calm. It makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. You're like, oh yes. Just and then they drag you 10 miles down into some brushy hellhole. You never see them. You get within 30 yards of them, and you're like, well, that sucked. I guess we're gonna hike back.
Straight Jurassic Park, just chaos.
That would be the closest thing to Jurassic Park is just
the And then my favorite part about it now is that Cora's 17 months old, and she is obsessed with elk because we've got Euro mounts in the house and stuff. And so ever since she was little, we'd be like, that's a deer, that's an elk.
That's cool.
And so now she just walks around and she's like, deer, elk, elk. Well, actually, she says, cuh, cuh. She can't say the full elk part. But then she loves to bugle. And so she has her own, it's an old tube that I have, and she carries that around, and she goes, that's bugle with me. This morning, we sat on the couch and we watched 20 minutes of bugling elk archery highlights, and blew and made elk calls in the house.
That's a good cup of coffee in the morning.
More importantly, does she have a point? Does she have a point already? Have you put her in the point system?
No.
I
think you have to at least have a hunter education. But it's funny that you bring that up because I literally told Tip yesterday, as soon as the girls are old enough, they take hunter education, I'm starting to buy them points in every Western state.
Yeah.
We literally had that conversation yesterday.
We're talking Utah. We're talking outside of Las Vegas. We're talking.
I'm just mule deer, elk, and I'm going to put them in
everything.
Preference points, every great Western state that they can hunt. That way, when they're 30, they have a legit shot to draw some awesome tags. By the time they're 30, I'll be in my 60s. So hopefully I'm still in good enough shape, and I'm just a total 60-year-old badass grandpa that I can still go with them.
Yeah.
But if they can't draw till they're 50 or 60, I'm going to be dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How badass of a say college or high school graduation gift or whatever, and you're like, oh, by the way, look at all your points, and they're like, what?
Oh, by the way, you can draw any state you want.
That'd be so sick.
Yeah.
What was the hunting culture like in high school or in your town growing up? Like, did a lot of people do it in your town?
I think it was just kind of like standard status quo. I think most everyone did, like, oh, where's Zach at? Oh, he's gone for a week, elk hunting with his dad or something. He's at elk camp. And just, I think you just grew up around it, and it wasn't like what you saw in like this area. Bart was like, it used to not be that busy.
Yeah, no, that's what Kyle was telling me. He's like, kind of, since he said, I mean, going up to COVID, he said it was getting busier, but like he said, when COVID hit, it got ridiculous.
Everyone's like, hey, we're just going to move out of every, crappy city that we live in, and we're going to move to Coeur d'Alene. That's where everyone showed up, was here. And so it used to not be that busy. But the good thing is that most of the people that are living here still have those same kind of values. They want to hunt. They just used to live in a big city, and they would leave to go hunt.
When we were talking about this earlier in the podcast, and we were talking with Will. He was on before you got on. He's out in, I think he's in Montana right now. He's actually really close to Idaho. He's gonna be guiding trout up in northern Idaho here soon. I wish I would have asked him where he is.
Probably here.
But yeah, he's not in Coeur d'Alene, but I'll find it out sometime and let you know. But one thing we were talking about was it's like rifle hunting opener around here, right? Sobi coming up. Do you guys have like any type of like opener thing like the Midwest has, where like stuff just shuts down and people go out? Or Sobi, you can probably ask that better than I can, but you get what I mean, Brandon?
Yeah, I don't think we have the big craze, right? Where it's like it's opener, like everybody's gone, businesses are shut down. We don't have that mass like exodus, I guess, of
the Orange Army.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's because our seasons are kind of split, where you've got archery season, you've got rifle season, and that kind of slows that progression. And then
that's kind of what Will said too. Is he thinks it's just a little more drawn out?
We don't have the huge. We just don't have the population either. Generally speaking.
Can you tell?
Idaho as a whole has 1.5 million people.
Yeah, Twin Cities metro area.
Yeah,
I didn't know there was that few people in Idaho.
Yeah, Montana's even less. I think Montana's like, I don't even know if it. I think it's
Montana's in the hundreds of thousands. I thought upper.
It might be like 980,000. It's probably over 1 million now.
Could be. Can you tell an out of towner immediately, like when they show up and they're like, "I'm going elk hunting up in Idaho," and you're like, "Oh, sticking out like a sore thumb. There he is."
Sometimes.
What's the giveaways?
Where they're from?
Yeah, what are the giveaways?
If it's a hardcore whitetail guy coming, and he comes to Idaho, you can usually tell, right? Because he'll be dressed way different sitting in a tree stand than you would hiking around in the mountains. So generally, you can pick that out. But I mean, there's people that kill tons of elk dressed in like a pair of wool pants and a flannel.
We call it Fleet Farm Hunters back in Wisconsin.
I think the other difference where we don't see like that sea of orange is the fact that I'm pretty sure Idaho has more public land than any other state in the country.
Wow, that's sweet.
So everybody, it's not as concentrated. We don't have as many people, and we have way more opportunity to spread out.
Yeah.
You guys are also very hard to get to. In terms of time and like when it gets later in the year, like, yeah.
I don't know. You'll see people from New York out in Wyoming, and it's not like my little brother took a trip out to Idaho. He just got back 2 weeks ago, he was mule deer hunting.
Oh wait, by
And-
the way, how did his Tinder expedition go? God, Brandon, you would love this. Actually, it
All
was the
right,
title
all right,
of
you're
our
gonna-
last episode. You would love this. This is fantastic.
Kid, my brother is a very intuitive and smart kid. Little shit, but he's very smart. And before the trip to Idaho, he set his Tinder to, he made a fake profile as a super hot, obviously fake woman in like all these different areas around Idaho. And he would only match with the dudes that had like big mule deer in their profile pictures.
No.
This
No.
was his scouting.
Oh yeah.
No. He's a genius.
Because he's a little fucking demon. He's a demon. And so he'd ask, because Idaho, like non-residential, like you have to sit on your computer and like
Quite
refresh the page to get to wherever you want to go, and you have like a certain, like, say your number 8,000 in. Do you want an elk tag? Do you want a mule deer tag? Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well, you only have so many choices, and you gotta have choices. So you match with a lot of dudes. and he narrowed it down.
Oh my
He narrowed it down to like central Idaho is where he could get his tag, and it wasn't going well right off the get go. And he's like, back to the grind, new strategy. I'll have to pull it up. Yeah, he started rolling on Tinder again with actual females instead of his female profile, and he actually got a pretty hot tip. They missed a big one from a woman,
Dang.
a real life woman.
Cat
like
fishing
big one.
hunting spots. That's
Yep.
incredible.
Fantastic.
It's next
It's
level.
Incredible.
So yeah, that is no
Yeah,
bueno. But-
forget on X
Just
for
catfish your way to the
losers.
top.
Yeah, no. We'll let Brandon go in a sec. I did want to know, how was it fishing a team derby with Carl again back home? That had to have been
weird.
fun.
We were like little kids. I absolutely love.
Who drove the
derbies.
boat?
I did. We took my boat.
Mhm.
I got it rigged Friday night, and we fished out of it Saturday.
So you were breaking it in.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I had 5 hours on it or something, because I had the Megabass guys come up and we fished out of it. I had 0 electronics on it. I take that back. I had 1 graph on it, no shallow water anchors. I had 1 graph off of my old boat that I had already ran all the wiring. I was just waiting on all my electronics to show up. So I took one of my old graphs and I just plugged it into 2D, my through hole transducer and my power. And I left the wires long enough that I could grab it off my dash, put it on the front side of my console and flip it around so that I could look back from my trolling motor and see how deep it was.
That's some like 18 to 22-year-old shit right there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
one
Sobi
grab
did
or
till he was
rush
22.
them.
Dude, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I had it on the
Let me-
Ram mount.
Rush them.
Can I
Yeah.
can I speculate to what happened in this tournament? You potentially should have won if you didn't win, but did you miscall a fish or something?
Yeah.
Or like, did you have 6 fish in your live well and
No,
you didn't
no, it
know
wasn't
for
a
like the
6-fish
20th
deal.
time? I mean, how many
No.
times is that up to? You've got to be up to like 10 at this point.
Well, this is
Great
actually
reader,
the
bad
first
counter.
time it's cost me.
Great reader, bad counter. Good in English, not math.
It's like time 4.
Okay.
Our scale said we had 24, and our smallest one was a 436 largemouth.
Wow.
And Carl had caught this smallmouth earlier in the day, and some of our smallmouth have this weird like scoliosis thing, kind of. They're bent and crooked. And he caught one that weighed 360 or 361. Well, when we were bagging our fish up, I reach in the live well and I pull this one out. And Carl looks at me and goes, "Why do we still have that one?" And I look at it and I was like, "Oh no!" So instantly I'm thinking, "Oh, I forgot to throw one back." I'm looking in the live well. I'm like, "Nope, we got 5. We're just stuck with this 361," which means I threw out a 445 smallmouth at some point in the day and kept this 360.
I mean, and if it was a 4-day tournament,
who cares? It might have came back from that. But in a 1-dayer, I'm not coming back from that. Not against these boys. They're too good. So yeah, I don't know when that happened. I think I know how it happened. I just don't know at what time of the day, because I'm using some new CULL clips, like tags from DD26. I'm not going to talk about them yet because I don't think he's actually fully launched them yet.
Probably not a super good promo either and going into.
No, they're amazing.
Use these clips one time, threw back my second biggest fish.
They're amazing. The problem is that I've used the same CULL tags for so long that I don't even pay attention to the numbers. I just grab them by color because I know number 1 is green, number 2 is orange, number 3 is red, number 4 is white, and 5 is blue. That's what's programmed in my head. Well, these new tags, the colors are different because they coincide with the Bubba Pro scale. So the numbers and the colors on that Bubba Pro scale match up with these tags. And I think at some point in the day, I looked at it, and when I was looking at the scale, right, it said CULL number 3. So I went, oh, 3. And I just went back there and grabbed the red one, which was actually number 4. And a
Sounds
445.
made
And
up.
I just went, chucked it back.
I'm going to go with my bad at math strategy.
I'm going to go with, if it's a team derb and you're driving the boat, Carl should have been culling.
Yeah,
100%.
also go on that.
Dude,
Yeah, we fished Derby on Saturday with the owner of Alpha Angler. I made him cull every single time.
Boom.
I'd catch one, he'd net it, I'd just grab it, unhook it, and hand it to him.
that was a smart decision.
Yeah.
That was a smart decision.
Yeah.
You probably won.
How is the bass scene like out by you guys? Do you have quite a few guys?
It's growing.
Like tournament-wise?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get 100 boats. This summer in our classic open, I think we had 75 or 74 boats or something. The one that me and Carl fished, I think we had almost 50 boats in that one, which is pretty good because it's still right in the heart of hunting season during rifle season, which was pretty stout. And then this last weekend, it was 14 degrees in the morning and we had 25 boats show up. So I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
That's
your
pretty sweet.
average club derbies, but it's definitely growing from what it is because there's a ton of boats and a ton of guys around town fishing that I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
sweet,
for sure.
though.
I mean, it's been growing a lot in Minnesota lately, too. I think you guys are growing a lot more in Idaho for different reasons.
Yeah.
Unnamed lake. But, yeah.
No, those people don't stay. Nobody's moving there. There's nothing there.
I have a question for you, Brandon.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of flipping the page here. Back to, obviously, hunting is kind of your getaway and it's kind of your release. I know you're a handyman around the house as well. Have you made progress on the bass cave or the man cave, per se? Last time I heard you were drywalling, or what were you putting up? Beautiful oak. You were putting up beautiful oak from...
Yeah, from Tiff's grandma's barn. It's not been high on my priority list.
Culling has been.
So it has not been finished. It's got probably a little progress from the last time I talked to you. I still need to finish some of the slat wall. Yeah, it's still.
Explain to the folks about the oak wall, because that's pretty sweet. That's really cool.
Yeah, so I've got so I got a 40 by 60 shop, and then 12 by 20 of it is a tackle room on the bottom floor, and then it's my office on the top. And around the outside of that, I'm lining it with 100-plus-year-old barnwood from Tiff's grandmother's barn. It was starting to cave in and fall down, so they were going to tear it down and burn it. So we went down there with my enclosed trailer and peeled as much of this wood off of it that we could and just filled my trailer and brought it back. And so we've been putting that wood back up on kind of around that outside part of the office and the tackle room.
That's so sick.
Exactly how it was on the barn. So it looks similar, and I guess I've never really paid attention to wood or been around wood that's that old and weathered, but you can run your finger across it and you can even see it being the grains, where you've got all the growth rings in the wood. Mm-hmm. Well, where that growth ring is, where it would have been the outside of the tree at that point of its life, is obviously the hardest, most dense part, and then the inner parts are softer, and those are literally cut out from the wind and the weather. So It's just these constant grooves of all of the grain where you don't just see the grain, but it's actually textured.
I love that. That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Also
super cool.
You said it. Small hack for anyone putting up a garage. Like I said earlier with mine, slat wall. Learned that from Lucas. Much better idea than pegboard.
I'm literally slat walling the rest of the entire shop.
The hardest part is just lining it up perfectly.
It
doesn't like to do that.
The pro slat stuff's pretty easy.
I did not get that. I went to Menards and got the cheapest slat wall I could. I'm still poor.
Pro slat is money, but I'm going 12 foot high all the way around my entire shop.
How are you going to reach that?
Is that just the JDM side, or is that?
So he can get the 8-foot stuff.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Cody? Then we'll wrap this up.
Oh, I was going to say, did you chainsaw that wood yourself? I know you had a little background in lumberjacking.
Oh, the one Instagram picture he has of him chainsawing was beautiful, and there really hasn't been a resurgence. It was one picture, and it seemed like an outdoorsy flex, and
that had to be on a Tinder profile, or
at
a Match.com.
Someone catfished that picture out to get some elk spot.
Yeah, I've actually only run the chainsaw, maybe twice in the last few years, and I actually I made 2 kids after that. So.
Dang.
Totally kidding.
For all you young aspiring college bass pros, listen to that statement alone.
Just kidding.
But he's not. He's so not. It's like Noah won 4 boats and he has 4 more kids suddenly. Who would have guessed?
Yeah.
Looking for a steel sponsorship.
Yeah, please.
But no, thank you. Thank you, Brandon, for joining us. I know it was kind of last minute. I just was like, yo, can you help us? Sobi was supposed to hit up some people and, whatever. He didn't. I was like, I'll take matter into my own hands and text Brandon. He was actually supposed to text you.
You're
talking about a dude that's got a fire in his garage.
Is that?
Doesn't that look like a major hazard?
No,
especially with the garage door closed.
I am feeling a little loopy. Like if you've spent any time in an ice shack where you have just a propane heater running for some time and it's really enclosed, you do feel a lack of oxygen. And I have like a standard, garage heater that's connected to natural gas, but I don't like turn that on until it's like cold. I just kind of run this little fire table in the meantime. But I am feeling a little bit like I need some circulation in here.
The ambience is worth it, though.
It really is. It's kind of.
Do you have an ice fishing scene in Idaho? Do people ice fish?
Yeah, but nowhere near. Like I've never seen anyone drag a shack out. I don't think our ice would get thick enough that you could.
Well, you
Have
get
you
like
done
five, if
launched
you
my
can walk
boat all
on it.
winter.
Well, yeah, but
Okay.
like there's certain places around there that got to be shallow enough, right? I've heard rumors. That's why
Yeah,
I'm asking.
there's some smaller lakes that are really
Yeah.
good.
Have you ever ice
But-
fished before in your life?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was a
Oh.
video. You went out with Quinn on the St. Croix, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's sick.
smallie fishing.
Yep.
That's sick.
We had 20
Yeah, I've
inches of
done
ice,
it.
baby.
It's awesome. It's super fun. But when I can still launch my bass boat the same day, I'm just gonna launch my bass boat and catch them.
Yeah,
It's
no,
the
like
ambiance.
Why would I?
Right
why
here,
would I-
this is all
totally
you
agree. Every person who's like, yeah, I love, like, we have a crowd around here who's like, oh, it's ice season. I can't wait to get out fishing again. I'm like, have you heard of a boat? And they're like, yeah, ice fishing's fun. I'm like, have you launched a boat and driven a boat around? It is so much substantially better.
Not that much.
Yeah.
No, it is not. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
And,
Seriously,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
yeah, good luck.
And good luck
I mean-
to you and Tiffany as you know you bring a new child into the world. Hopefully in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Do you have
gonna-
names
it's
picked
gonna-
out?
No.
Come
we
on.
don't. No, it's like getting a puppy. You don't name them to get them. You got to kind of understand them a little bit, learn their personality.
Do you guys know the
Hold
gender?
on.
Do you know? Is it boy?
It's
Girl?
another girl.
Okay.
Yep, just officially a girl dad.
Oh man, I'd say
Oh,
you're
man.
gonna have gray hairs when you're older, but you know, have any hairs?
I always call
Guess
that.
I'm already older.
I always called that.
The hairs
karma.
that I do have, there's a few gray ones starting to
Prove
fly.
it. Show us.
But
Well,
they
you
will
can't
have the most
see.
points in Idaho. I can tell you that.
We
Yeah.
will have the
Mhm.
most points.
Accumulated in the whole western states.
Exactly.
That's
Well,
exciting.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you, Brandon. Thank you for joining
Yeah.
us. And thank you, everybody, for hopping on to another episode of Pass the Barb. And Brandon, if you did not know, we're the #1 outdoor podcast in the world. Would you
so
have
they
guessed
say. So I've been told by these two.
Yeah,
By these
we
two.
are officially the #1 outdoor podcast in the world, and we can't thank you guys all enough for making this possible. This is how we get guests on, like Brandon Palaniuk. We have a large budget. We're gonna bring him in and pay him fat stacks for his time, and it's really been it's the opportunities that it's good. It's all
I'm
good.
waiting to
That's
see
all
these
I have
numbers
left.
and what platform, but
Stacks of what?
Stacks of
books.
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 Interview
Sold.
full circle. Got it. Perfect. All right. Thank you, everybody.
See you guys.
Have a good one.